Hallie Preskill is a leader in evaluation. She has over 25 years of experience providing evaluation, organizational learning, and training workshops and services for many organizations. She is currently the managing director of FSG, a consulting firm that focuses on social change. She spent 20 years in academia teaching graduate courses in program evaluation. Her research has focused on evaluation capacity building, transfer of learning, evaluation training and use, and evaluation as a catalyst for learning. She has her PhD from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in evaluation and training. She was the president of the American Evaluation Association in 2007. One of Hallie's most well-known accomplishments to work in appreciative inquiry as a design for program evaluation. She has written many books including Reframing Evaluation Through Appreciative Inquiry, Building Evaluation Capacity, 72 Activities for Teaching and Training, and Evaluation in Organization, a systematic approach to enhancing learning performance and change. Today we have the privilege of interviewing Dr. Preskill and learning more about appreciative inquiry. Our focus today will be on her development of an evaluation system for the Corporate Education Development and Training Department, CEDT, at the Sandia National Laboratories. During the interview, we will learn more about the principles and practices of appreciative inquiry and how it was used to help a Department of Training and Development to build an evaluation system for their activities. We will delve into why appreciative inquiry was the perfect approach for this task and this organization, and learn the steps that were taken to identify and consider valuable components for the evaluation system. Appreciative inquiry is an approach to evaluation that focuses on recognizing what has succeeded in an organization. Rather than focusing on problem areas, successes are highlighted. Whitney and Trustin Bloom described appreciative inquiry as the study and exploration of what gives life to human systems when they function at their best. This approach to organizational change is based on the assumption successes, values, hopes, and dreams are themselves transformational. Appreciative inquiry suggests that change, at its best, is a relational process of inquiry grounded in affirmation and appreciation. The appreciative philosophy says that what we focus on becomes our reality. There is something that works in every organization, and reality is created in the moment. The act of asking questions is actually an intervention, and people have more confidence in the journey when they carry forward parts of the past. It is important to value differences and make sure the language we use helps create our reality. People will be motivated if they actually have a choice in what they will do. The questions will change from what problems are you having to what's working well around here, and finally, how can we do more of it? There are 4 I's in appreciative inquiry: inquire, imagine, innovate, and implement. AI is an asset-based thinking and powerful tool for organizational change and program evaluation.
Dr. Preskill, can you give us a summary of how you developed an evaluation system for the Corporate Education Development and Training Department at Sandia National Laboratories?
The mission of the Corporate Education Development and Training Department at the laboratories is to create and implement a wide range of results-oriented development and training solutions that contribute to their mission. They offer an extensive array of learning opportunities delivered through instructor-led classroom training, web-based and computer courses, self-study, coaching, mentoring, and consulting on a wide variety of topics. There have been many cultural and organizational changes at Sandia National Laboratories over the last few years, and they're being asked to provide metrics, indicators, and evidence of their high performance. Employees understand this requirement and want to make sure they're doing their very best to demonstrate the positive effects they're having while also improving their programs and services. We were called to work with CEDT's programs and services, and we took a look at their current evaluation approach. They were primarily using pre- and post-class assessments and post-course reaction surveys. It was hard to identify exactly how the data was collected throughout the organization, and it was hard to systematically interpret and share the findings of these evaluations. There was data collection, but basically no system. So we were called in to help achieve several goals. The goals included identification of current evaluation of courses and delivering a report that provided information on what is working and not working currently, along with recommendations, how the various evaluation components could be integrated into a more comprehensive system, and potential software tools and techniques that may be useful to collect data. To achieve these goals, we reviewed and analyzed existing surveys, interview guides, and other evaluating documents. We then developed a matrix that describes how each of CEDT's programs and services were being evaluated, and held a 6-hour needs analysis meeting with employees, which was designed to provide insight into what an effective evaluation system would do. The purpose of this meeting was to understand the current evaluation activities, what activities were working, and what type of evaluation data was already being collected and not used, who uses the evaluation information, and how the findings were communicated. Also, what methods work well and what methods appear to not be working. Our final report described what was happening in the current evaluation system, explained what should be happening in an effective organization evaluation system, and then provided recommendations for bridging that gap.
Appreciative inquiry is often thought of as an organizational change method, but in this evaluation report you provided for my review for this interview, I read about how you used it as part of an evaluation. Can you describe for me your experience with AI?
I came across AI in the organizational learning and development literature a while ago and became excited about the possibility it offered evaluators. The more I learned, the more I became convinced that this approach could enhance the use of evaluation findings and contribute process use in building evaluation capacity. I read everything I could on the topic and began conducting workshops on the applications of AI to evaluation.
So do you mind providing a brief explanation of what AI is?
In a nutshell, AI is a process that built on past successes and peak experiences in an effort to design and implement future actions. The philosophy is that deficit or problem-based approaches to organizational change are not the most effective and efficient. When we look for problems, we find more problems, and we use deficit-based language, we often end up feeling hopeless, powerless, and more exhausted. Conversely, AI has us reflect on what has worked well, and by remembering the times we were successful and excited about a topic, we will use affirmative and strength-based language. Participants' creativity, passion, and excitement about the future will increase.
So how did you apply AI to the development of the CEDT evaluation system?
CEDT is the internal training function of the Sandia National Laboratories, which is one of the U.S. National Laboratories for Defense. They do a great deal of research and testing on anti-terrorism technologies. Much of what they do is classified, and they're located on an Air Force base in New Mexico. The department offers an extensive array of learning opportunities through instructor-led classroom training, web-based and computer courses, self-study, coaching, mentoring, and consulting. While some of their department services and offerings have been occurring, there's no system or coordination of the evaluations. One of the instructional designers had been in one of my courses a few years back. He emailed me saying the evaluation team would like to meet with me to discuss Sandia's corporate training and development of an evaluation process. They had a team of 3 and were increasingly being asked to prove their department's effectiveness. They knew they were collecting data, but there was little knowledge of what was going on throughout the organization and little sharing of data collection instruments and findings. There was no system for gathering data, aggregating it, analyzing it, and making decisions on it. Their process just wasn't very effective.
So how did you come to use AI with this group?
I was curious already about an AI evaluation system and how it would look in an organization. Without a coordinated or strategic system for evaluation, it's difficult to compare them from year to year and share what is learned from practice. The lack of an evaluation system limits the impacts on a strategic level and the ability to provide information on critical organizational issues. After talking with the evaluation team and learning their needs, it became clear that we need to understand what kind of data they were collecting and what would work in their particular context. We needed to talk to a large number of employees. Given that our time and resources were limited and we needed to design an ideal system, AI was ideal as a strategy for the 6-hour needs analysis meeting. We chose this approach because it offered participants a way to raise issues and concerns about the current practice of evaluation and also helped them envision the system that would work based on previous positive experiences.
How did you get CEDT to agree that this was the appropriate method?
They were very receptive. The evaluation team already knew of other AI projects taking place in the organization, so it wasn't completely countercultural. They also presented themselves as a learning organization. They wanted to model open-mindedness, and my former student, the instructional designer, had a position of authority and he reported to one of the people on the evaluation team. I had buy-in from the top as the vice president of the department was consistently kept in the loop as to what was happening. She was the one who initially authorized the funding to bring us in, and she also authorized the final proposal. Her involvement and leadership was critical. It also symbolically communicated to the entire organization that what we were doing was important.
How did you determine the primary focus of the inquiry?
We conducted a needs analysis to identify the needs that would help us develop a framework from which to create a system. We also developed a scope of work to review and analyze the materials of the existing evaluation system and to obtain input from the department employees regarding which elements were critical in an evaluation system for the organization. Our proposal included planning and facilitating the AI meeting, debriefing the meeting with our team, analyzing the data, and developing a user-friendly report that described current evaluation methods and the ideal evaluation system.
So this was a great opportunity to use AI to conduct a needs analysis and comprehensive evaluation system.
Yes, we were very excited. We were able to develop an evaluation system for an organization and use AI for this purpose. It was a learning experience for all of us. As a methodology, AI has been very successful with organizational change contexts around the world. At the time we started this project, we were not aware of anyone else using AI for evaluation purposes. Since then, we have found several evaluators who are doing this, and this is very encouraging.
What was recruitment like for the AI meeting? I know you wanted to involve as many people as possible in developing the evaluation system.
We sent an email invitation co-signed by the department's director and evaluation team to all 52 employees. We communicated why this was important, and 43 or 83% of the employees attended the meeting. I think these people were genuinely committed to what they were doing. They were also curious, and we communicated that it would be worth their time to participate.
Was the meeting framed as professional development or as an activity the organization was engaging in?
It was referred to as a workshop, but we called it a big day meeting.
What else contributed to the success a big day meeting?
CEDT liked the notion of being a learning organization. They just reorganized and were so energized, but also frustrated with some of the limitations of their technology. They also respected their leaders. They were in this together. They saw this as a worthwhile cause and in the big picture wanted to contribute to the organization. There was pressure to show results. The commitment to our meeting came from knowing they had to figure out a way to be more effective in collecting information and use that to advance their organization. They were coming up with some limitations, but they were also motivated by personal need and irritation with the current system, knowing that there had to be some change.
Did you describe the AI model to participants before the big day meeting?
Not in this case. We could start by describing underlying theories, but sometimes participants want to debate the principles instead of experience it. So instead, I just said this process may be a little bit different. I'll be happy to discuss the philosophy with you at the end of the day. AI requires a leap of faith and trust that will work. Our experience has shown the problems do get addressed in a very different way.
What if you have resistant participants?
I will have a client go through the exercise and experience during the first phase of AI. They conduct appreciative interviews. For some people, it intuitively makes sense. You will believe that you can solve problems by describing and discussing success. Some do have a harder time with it.
Some people inherently want to talk about what is wrong. How do you keep AI participants focused on the positive?
It's critically important to remember that the first phase of AI is to inquire. Participants conduct paired interviews using a designed interview guide. There are 3 sets of questions. The questions are tailored to the inquiry. First question is the peak or best experience and asks the interviewees to tell a story when they felt excited, energized, hopeful, and successful relative to the topic of inquiry. The next 2 questions are value questions. Here, they will describe what they value most about the topic of inquiry and what they bring to the topic of inquiry. The third question is called the 3 wishes question. Reflecting on the story they just told, they're asked if they had 3 wishes for having more exceptional experience like the one you described, What would you wish for? So while some people might think they're going to explain what is wrong or whose fault it is or what the problems are, questions asked interviewees to look at the positives. There may be times when a person has difficulty talking about successful experiences because they're conditioned to dissect a problem and come up with some quick solutions. But when someone starts talking about what didn't work, the rule of thumb is to let the person say what they want to say and then try to question again. That usually works. We're not going to get where we want to by talking about what didn't work. We're going to be creative and innovative. We want to be excited and find hope for something different.
Okay, back to the big day meeting. Can you explain what you did and what happened?
After some preliminary introductions, we began the meeting by asking each person to pair up with another person and interview each other for 10 minutes. They were asked to consider a time when they knew that CEDT evaluation process was working well. They were confident that the data was being collected and they were energized about the process. They asked what was happening, who was involved, what made it successful. After 20 minutes, the pairs were asked to join with 2 other pairs and in this group to tell the highlights of their partner's story. They were looking for themes across the group's stories. As the themes emerged, they wrote them on a flip chart. Then they shared their themes with the larger group. After discussion about the similarities and differences of the group, the imagine phase of the AI process was initiated. Groups worked together for 30 minutes to discuss their dreams. They were asked to imagine that if they'd fallen asleep for 5 years, when they woke up, and they found that the CEDT had a fully comprehensive, effective, and efficient evaluation system, what would that look like? It provided timely and useful information for decision-making and action. They were writing a story about the evaluation system and had to describe what it did, how it worked, and what kind of information it collected, who used the information, and how the information was used. They discussed what they would tell the reporter. There was high energy in the room during the discussion. After lunch, we began the innovate phase. This is often the most challenging. We spent the first half of the day talking about an evaluation system that would work and what it would look like. This was time to design it. Participants were asked to develop positive propositions, design, or possibility statements that described the organizational architecture of an evaluation system that was supporting effective evaluation practice. The statements were written in the affirmative, present tense, and described the system and what it would be like when it was highly effective and functioning at its best. These statements reflect the concrete components and characteristics of their desired evaluation system.
Do you or the facilitator and the groups generate the themes?
The themes were from the participant statements, and we collaboratively organized and labeled each category. They will then place the page flip chart around the room and ask everyone to use the pages that represented statements that were most interesting and that they were most interested in and passionate about. 2 of the statements read found that evaluation findings are commonly used for decision-making purposes, and all of the evaluation data are managed by a technical system that provides easily accessible reports. These are in the affirmative present tense and reflect what participants want from their evaluation system. The fourth and last phase, implement, was modified. We only ask participants to make recommendation. In most eyes, this is one participant sign up for what they want to work on. If they were not developing the evaluation system, participants will work together toward making these visions a reality.
Do you think this group at CEDT could have put the pieces together and come up with an evaluation system like you did?
No, not a comprehensive evaluation system. They could have gone through all the phases, but because there was a limited evaluation capacity, I don't think they could conceptualize the entire system.
You were hired to use AI data to create an evaluation system. What distinguishes your work here from the consultants that use AI as a method for organizational change?
My co-author and I have come up with 4 different ways when AI is appropriate and useful for evaluation. It is applicable to focus on evaluation to develop the key questions list of stakeholders' logic model design and data collection methods as part of evaluation plan. It is used to design or redesign surveys or interview guides. It is used to develop an evaluation system like we did for CEDT and to build evaluation capacity.
So basically, AI is a tool or additional methodology for evaluators rather than a theoretical perspective or model. You're using the same steps or procedures, but in an evaluation situation.
Yes, it's another tool, but the steps are the same, just used in an evaluation context. You could try most of your evaluation with appreciative philosophy, and it can frame how we think about inquiry.
Do you think all organizations are ready to use AI? Does the organization need to be ready, willing, and stable? As you reflect on AI as an evaluation method, would you say the needs analysis phase is ideal to use AI?
Yes, but not any more than doing a typical evaluation. AI is a good approach to inquiry, and there's going to always be an organizational readiness factor. One of the great things about it is that it's very flexible. You can use it in any phase of an evaluation or only add in one question on the survey or interview guide. My colleagues and I have applied it to many different evaluations and in many different ways. We've added it to focus group questions or day-long meetings or just a survey.
Overall, do you think you are arguing for using AI as a method for gathering important information to inform evaluation and as a way for encouraging people to share their story in whatever context?
Yes, thank you for asking me to share today. And I do believe most people want to tell their story, and I hope sharing my AI experience has been very helpful. This interview served as a great introduction to AI as an evaluation method. It shares the experience of CEDT as an example and foundation, but also talks about AI more generally as a tool for evaluation. Dr. Preskill maintains that AI can be used flexibly within the evaluation context. Some skeptics may argue that AI can be viewed as Pollyanna or seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. However, Dr. Preskill asked participants to refrain from judgment until after experiencing AI in an evaluation context. Dr. Preskill suggests that AI can be used as a framework and participants will feel much better about the process. She also suggests that data are often more rich and meaningful. This sounds convincing, but there are contexts and situations where this may not hold true. Dr. Preskill does maintain that it is always the context that should determine whether or not AI is suitable for use. The CEDT report was shared with the organization and can also be found online in one of Dr. Prescott's books.